Guys, and welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for tuning in to another one of my videos. I'm wondering if I should say welcome back to Gen Z Passport, because that is my handle. That was the initial point of my channel, to sort of travel and show you guys what's going on in different countries and different cities. So welcome to Gen Z Passport. In this video, I want to talk to you guys about my hike to Nuns Island. I say it's a hike because there were quite a few inclines compared to sort of the Verdun waterfront, which is very flat. But Nuns Island is sort of a different story. So I will try to insert some footage, but I really enjoy the Verdun waterfront. That is the banks of the St. Lawrence. I always go walking there, and I frequently take pictures of certain buildings and certain places along Nuns Island, the shore of Nuns Island. So I told myself, well, why not go across to Nuns Island and see, sort of, contextualize what I'm actually seeing from this bank. Um, what I actually planned to do was walk from opposite Verdun Beach, that is on the Nuns Island side, to the blue buildings that are featured in so many of my posts on Instagram specifically. I will leave my Instagram in the description box, and do feel free to certainly get more frequent updates on what I'm up to. I must say I was absolutely fascinated by Nuns Island. I saw a lot of stuff that I would not have expected to see. Nuns Island in summer definitely tends to be very densely populated, densely covered with trees, which is not quite the same thing as the Verdun side of the shoreline. In winter, as you could imagine, what really happens is the trees shed, obviously, and you can see sort of the pathway of the Nuns Island side of the shore. And you see people walking, you see people cycling, you see people with their dogs, just as I would imagine they can see over here, or I know now that they can see over here. For example, from the Verdun shore, we see, well, Nuns Island is part of Verdun city, apparently. From the Montreal side, you see the lights of a soccer pitch, and the soccer pitch appears to be on an incline. So that was one of the first places that we went as we walked along the shoreline, or walked between opposite Verdun Beach and the Blue Towers. And it was absolutely breathtaking what I did actually see. There's a communal garden that is next to the soccer pitch or football pitch, whichever one you would like. And it's up, yes, it is up on a hill, but it's a very accessible place when you walk along the shore, the path along the shore of the Nuns Island side of the St. Lawrence River. I really do apologize. I didn't get very much of the actual walk along Nuns Island. Like it was just a lot of shrubbery really. There weren't there were buildings, but they were sort of covered behind a wall or a blanket of trees. So I was definitely walking through kind of a canopy for most of the time of trees. There was just a path through a canopy of trees. I didn't really film that part because it wasn't very interesting to me. Um, and there were there was not a beach like as we have on this side of um, the banks on Nuns Island. But there was definitely sort of an area where you could go down some steps and there was a bay, not quite sand, but more pebbles, and it was kind of like a little beach. I didn't really see anybody from Nuns Island bathing in the water. I was kind of shocked and confused as to why, because there were quite a few places along the banks where you could actually walk down and access the river, but there was nobody in the water. Unlike on this side, you do see people in the water throughout on this side of the river. But I did go kayaking, and yes, I will make a separate vlog about that. I went kayaking and I was told that there is a current on the other side of the river, so closer to Nuns Island. So I would imagine that's why you didn't see too many people actually in the water, despite it being quite accessible. Um, I took quite a few, I can't quite call them selfies, but I was more recording myself with the buildings in the background. I took quite a few of those. Because for me, the attraction was not really like I was overwhelmed by the amount of nature I saw along that stretch. Like I was not expecting it, and I did not really care to see it, to be honest. Sorry, but I what I really wanted to see with the buildings, the towers that are very, very prominent, and you can go all over Verdun, and like from this side of the river, you see those towers very, very clearly. So I took an unapologetic amount of videos of myself against those buildings, and it was really nice to sort of contextualize them and to stand at the bottom of them and, you know, see the people living on the compound and whatever, whatever. I have a friend who lives on Nuns Island, and she told me there are no houses on Nuns Island. So I didn't really understand what she meant by that. But really, there are very rarely single family houses, meaning you do see rows of townhouses but you mainly see high-rise apartments. And well, mind you, I didn't spend all day on Nuns Island. I told you my routes. Like, I started opposite Verdun Beach, and I went to the tip of the island where the blue towers are, blue glass towers. I went around the back. I saw South Shore as well, but after that, well, actually, the path does come to an end on the other side, and after that, I came into the interior of the island. So we genuinely did not see many houses, as in single family houses. What we did see were um townhouses and a lot of high-rise buildings, but very, very scenic.
What is it like?
There was this one place that I cannot ever forget. Like, so the blue glass towers, as you can probably imagine, are like the affluent part of Nuns Island. They've built a lovely wooden sidewalk along some of those buildings where you can walk, and it just looks very, very scenic to see these modern buildings, edifices, just sort of project out to the ground alongside the nature and the wooden sidewalk, and very, very quaint. Um, I definitely took selfie, like not selfies, like as in pictures, but I took quite a few videos of myself against the towers, as I'm saying. It is summer, okay? I'm in the pool, I'm on the beach. My hair is naturally curly, as I would imagine you have already figured out. So, I just went with my natural hair down and, um, that's what you're seeing, like the curls and coming out a little bit. And yeah, I there are quite a few places along this side of the shore that I actually frequently post or film from or film alongside, and I try to capture those from the Nuns Island um side as far as possible. There were these brick retaining walls that I was absolutely fascinated by, like a brick that's about 2 feet by a foot tall, very, very quaint looking. And um, I saw the nets. I wasn't sure what those were about, but I believe that, well, I know there is a golf course over there, and that is why those nets exist, so that the balls don't, obviously hit people on the trail. So I can see those nets very clearly from where I live, and I was never sure what they were about, but I believe that that is why those nets are there. But it's very characteristic of Nuns Island, like seeing it um from this angle, from the other bank. Like, you see the nets, you see the football pitch, like you see the lights, you can see the back of the goalpost. That is definitely Nuns Island. It seems more like a residential sort of place. There did not seem to be a whole lot to do on Nuns Island, but I really, really enjoyed the experience. I'm not too familiar with this style of YouTube video. Typically, I'm, describing my wardrobe, I'm showing off clothes. Do forgive me if this was not a great, I didn't, go into details that you guys would have liked to hear, but that is definitely, it was and it will be one of the highlights of the things I did for this summer. So do let me know in the comments which scene struck you the most, or um anything I left out about Nuns Island that you yourself know. And I will see you in the next one.